Hello everyone, this is Hodora, and today in Kakumas we finally have enough information for me to at least give you guys a basic guide for HIF, right? And all of this information come from our JP player, right? This is not what I found myself, and we gonna leave a credit in the description. That's fine. But anyway, let's start. And you know, HIF have two parts, right? The first part is a selection part, and the second part is main event. But in Japanese is Honsen, and I gonna use Honsen because it's shorter. So we have selection and Honsen, and the link between these two is like this, right? When you go into selection mode here, you go into this like any other scenario, like Hajime, like near you pick your memory, you pick your support card you can borrow from your friend, from your random, and go into this. After you finish selection, you're gonna get a selection memory. This is not the typical memory. You cannot use this for contest or produce. This only be used in Honsen. And when you use it in Honsen and you go to the schedule again, fight Sena, fight the boss, and if you end either lose or win, you're gonna get a usual memory here. This is what you usually get in other scenario, right? The memory they can use either in contest or in produce. One good thing about this is that one that you have selection memory, you don't need to go to selection again if this is good enough. You can just repeatedly do Honsen and get a memory and try to roll for memory that have a target skill, or maybe a target roster if you want to build a contest deck. And that means you don't need to borrow the memory of the card that you don't have every run, right? You borrow is in selection, and that should be in your selection memory. And when you go into Honsen, it's gonna stay in here forever. You don't need to waste your borrow slot to do a run anymore, right? That is a good thing for this. So yeah, that is a general idea of how this scenario works, right? Other than that, every run, every entry, either selection or Honsen, gonna give you 3 HIF points. Not 3, sorry, 30 HIF points, which can be used to upgrade this stuff, right? Base stat increase, SP disenchant, pre-exam stamina recovery, max stamina, max stat, initial P point in selection and in Honsen, and lastly reduce skill card price in shop. You can use this HIF point to upgrade all of these, and of course you can also use item that double the drop of the item from your produce, and this gonna increase from 30 per run into 60 per run, so it's twice as fast, right? And of course, if you already have some of these, you should focus on two things. First is the stat bonus, second is the P point, the money. These are two most important upgrades right now. I don't know if they're gonna keep increasing this upgrade or not, but for now I've completely upgraded everything after like 10 run, because we also have mission down here that you can do to get more HIF point. And that all for the upgrade. Next is the bond level, right? Because new scenario, we have a bond story. We're gonna start as 28, right? 28 until 33. This part can be unlocked by just clearing the selection part of the HIF. After that, when you enter Honsen, doesn't matter if you win or lose, win or loss, you're gonna unlock bond 34 and 35. But if you win, you're gonna unlock 36 and 37 too. So in theory, you can win from 28 until 37 in one run, one from selection and one from Honsen, if your idol is strong enough to win Honsen without the star bonus, which unlock every bond level and all these upgrade, right? It can be done. It can be done, but you need to either have a really strong P idol or you are really good at the game. Because most of the time you're gonna start at like 35 because you enter Honsen, and by this point your star gain bonus gonna increase by I think 40%. So instead of 0, it's gonna be 40%. That is almost half. And of course, if you want half, you need to win Honsen and you're gonna get 50% increase bonus for star gain, right? Alright, that's all for the basic stuff of HIF. Let's look at each part. First part is a selection, and this is the schedule of the selection. We have 3 selection exam we need to go through, right? One exam per week. And as you can see here, we have a mix between lesson, classroom, and random event. So in total, we have 6 lessons. We have 4 classroom, 4 gift, 4 outing, 5 shop, and 3 custom. Of course, gift, outing, and shop are mixed together, and custom also mixed with some slot for shop too. Only lesson and class are permanent. You're gonna have 6 lesson and 4 class always, right? And for HIF lesson, we have 6, right? It's on day 2, 4, 9, 11, 15, 18. And this number is the stat you're gonna get on your main stat. And unlike in other scenario, when you go into a lesson, there gonna be, as you can see here, there is a substat here that this is dance lesson, but it's gonna keep a little bit of visual. Or this is visual lesson and it's gonna give a little bit of dance. These substats are totally random, right? It's totally random. But the spread should be similar to your main stat priority, right? And you can see here, you're gonna get a lot of visual here because this is dynamic schedule. So a lot of visual, lower than visual is dance, and lastly, a little bit of vocal. So this is your main stat gain. This is your substat gain. This gonna be multiplied by your lesson bonus, of course. This is the star gain that you're gonna increase your star gain, right? Star quality. And this is your P point, the money, stable 30. We are so poor in HIF, if I have to say. And star is gonna alternate between 30 and 10. Not a lot, but the main way to get the star is actually from getting a card and perform well in the exam. That is the main way to get more star point, right? That's all for the lesson. Next is the class. There is 4 class in selection. Class on day 3 and 6 only give you 120 stat. This will not be multiplied by any kind of bonus at all, right? Flat 120 of the stat of your choice. And when you choose your stat, you have 3 choices here, right? You can pay 5 stamina to select a card, and the 2 options is depend on you. For example, this, I believe this is sense run, so it's either gonna be a good condition or concentration. That is a choice here. And for the first 2, you get a new card for this one. But if you want to take the last one, which give you one travel card. It's not gonna give you a new card. It's allow you to change a card in your deck to a different one, right? And for day 10 and 17, the last two classes, it's gonna give you fast stat of 150. And all of these options are still the same, but you cannot get a new card here. It's only change your card in your deck into a different one that you want, right? That is all for classes. Next is outing. Outing, we have three options always. Option 1, you pay 50 money, 50p point. Option 2, you get a travel card. Or option 3, you just hang out for free. Outing for free. So yeah, the option 1 and 2 give you the same thing, 1 drink and 2 cards. Option 3 give you 1 drink and 1 card. And I told you before that get a card will give you more star point up here, right? A card, they doesn't specify any card, right? So even travel card also give you star point. So most of the time when you go to outing, you might take second option because it saves you some money and it also gives you 3 cards instead of 2, right? And that's all for the outing, nothing much here. Lastly is the selection exam, right? We have 3 selection exam. The first one gonna give you 140 stat. One thing to keep in mind, right? In this exam, the stat will give to you always. It's gonna be always 140 on exam 1. Exam 2 gonna be 440. It doesn't matter how good or bad you perform, the stat gonna be give you in this total amount. But you might see some cryptic in here. The first number basically is the base that gonna give to your all 3 of your stat, right? 20 to all 3. And 80, this gonna be distributed to each of your stat depend on how well you do a point in that stat. Example, I believe this is exam 2. This is exam 2. The base is 80, so all 3 stats will get 80 at first. And then they're gonna divide these 220 into each stat depend on what point you do. We have 22,000, 10,000, 28,000 here. So it's gonna be like 2 part, 1 part, 2.5 part maybe. So instead of 80, we have 100, 136, 154. It's gonna always be 440 and 520 in this exam. But you still want to do a high score, right? Because the one thing that scales with your performance in the exam is the star. So for the cap of each exam, like exam 1, the cap is 15,000. I just loud this up to be a beautiful number, but there is some minus like 10 or digit down here. But anyway, 15,000 give you 40 star. For exam 2, 150,000 give you 110 stars. And exam 3, you need 400,000 to get the same 110 star. This is the base one. If you already unlock your bond to 37, multiply this by 50 more percent. So this is gonna be what, 60. This is gonna be 155, 165 and 165, right? And this is where you get majority of your star. Right, this is like what, 165, 3 something, almost 400. Yeah, 1/3 of your star come from selection exam performance, right? And that is all for the selection. Next is Honsen. So Honsen schedule is really short. We have 1 week of preparation, 2 lessons, 2 classroom, one gift or outing, and one shop. And after that, you go into back-to-back exam. Exam 1, some resting room, and exam 2. So in Honsen, class will give you flat 180 start, right? These classes. And lesson, the first one will give you 120 on your main and 20 on your sub. And for the second one, give you 140 on your main and 80 on your sub. The star and the P point is the same, right? 30 for both on both of these, nothing much. And of course, as you can see here, this is what it look like, what the memory look like after you finish selection. This is gonna be the deck that you play during your selection. You're gonna have your P item that you unlock, or the upgrade, or of the customization. And if some of your P item have limit use, the limit use carry over is not refreshed. So example, if you have 2 use, you already use 1, you have 1 more use to use during Honsen, something like that, right? So in Honsen, there is, well, let's talk about Honsen exam directly, because as we see, the preparation is really short. So Honsen exam, there is 2 phases, right? Phase 1, 9 turns of contest. You need to score at least 400,000 to win against Sena in phase 1. And the recommend that you need to do is 700,000. We will talk why we recommend this number later. Anyway, that is for phase 1. Phase 2, 12 turn contest. Minimum requirement for you to beat Sena is 600,000. And the recommend number is 1,500,000. And you can see in the example here, Sena gonna score around 1,080,000 to 90,000. So you want 1,100,000 to be safe and win always. So you might want to push higher than 400 or 600 here, depend on what you can do, right? But remember, it's back to back, right? So if you use too much drink in phase 1, of course there is a restroom that you can refresh your drink, but it's gonna cost a lot of money and sometimes you're not gonna get the drink you want. So you need to plan correctly. Don't overspend your drink in your phase 1, right? Otherwise you're gonna fail phase 2. So you need to plan this correctly. And that's all for the Honsen. You need to actually play it yourself to actually understand what I'm talking about. But yeah, I just gonna give you the recommend number here. And why I give you the recommend number, this is why, because credit to Eon, this one, Eon, who is a real OG JP player who do a lot of guide and a lot of calculation. He figuring out the rating formula of HIF already. I would recommend you go check out his video if you want to look into the detail. He go over a lot of things, not just the formula, about the guide, about how to get S4 plus, and he's not optimal, but he's theory carb routing. So check that out, right? The name is Eon_FNA, right? Eon_FNA. You can find him on Twitter. You can find him on YouTube. All right. So the formula is like this. You have your total start time 2 plus your total star 1000 something here times 7.5 plus the score rating, and all of them minus 2000. That is the final rating for your memory. And for example, if you want S4 plus, which you need like 30k rating. For example's sake, let's say we have 6000 stat. and 1300 star. That is times 2 here times 7.5 here. That is 21,750. So we're missing around 10,000, right? And if we go look, I closed that, didn't I? One moment.
ほぼ S4 プラス
Yeah, you can see here, if you get, this is a soft cap, you can go higher than this, but the gain gonna be reduced substantially, right? 700,000 give you 400 rating, and for phase 2, 1,500,000 give you 6,000 rating. So that in total combined gonna be 10,000. So you miss like 250. But if you score a little bit higher here or have higher star or higher stat, it's gonna be fine. You can get S4 plus if you can meet all of these goals. And just to give you guys some example, S4 need you 26,000. Assuming you can do this score, right? Then you can lose like 500 here, and you still get S4, and 5,000 here, and that is what 5,000, like divide by 2, that is like 2,000 stat, or divide by 7.5, that is like 600. My math doesn't work. Anyway, S4 is 26,000, and S5 if you are maniac, or if you are well, S5 is 35,000. Of course, the easiest way to increase the rating is actually perform better in Honsen. The stat, you cannot increase that unless you have better support card. The star is kinda capped at around 1,350 or something, the total gain, because there is no other way to increase your star gain. So other than these two factors, the only thing that you can keep increasing until what? Until 1 million in phase 1 and like 2 million something in phase 2, 2,040,000 in phase 2. Then you can increase your rating by at least 2,000 or 3,000 more, right? So yeah, that is all about HIF for me. But we're not done yet, because as you can see here, we need to do a lot of point in Honsen, right? So let's go look at a general combo of each plan. Disclaimer, this is not for me. This is just what I see people do. I'm not expert in any of these plans. But first, let's start with Sen. For Sen, the minimum requirement for Sen is actually P level 75. If you're not at P level 75, well, if your idol is strong enough, for example, the current Karakuta Lone Riname, you don't need any of this. Her kit alone can basically beat Honsen without much difficulty. But for general idol, for Sen, of course we had the usual combo, right? Idol road with entertainment. I would say this is nowhere enough to get you to beat Sena in Honsen. Even with two of these, which is quite stable. What you need is at level 75, you need Lamplight. And maybe you want to idle road Lamplight instead of entertainment to get more instant of damage. Because entertainment give you plus 5, right? Every active card. Lamplight give you plus 6 every 2 cards you play. But this plus 6 get benefit from concentration by 4 times. So if you have maybe 80, right? Maybe 80 concentration times 4, that is 300 20 per proc instead of this 5 plus 80 is like 85. The difference is huge, but the downside is that it costs a lot of good condition, so that's why you need to learn how to play with Spotlight. These together is, I believe this is the main combo I see people play that manage to clear sense in any P idol, even SR or R. And this is just something that you can use. It costs perfect con but give you a lot of power and also give you parameter gain increased by 30%. You can also customize this to remove one-time use too. That also works. That is for sense. Next is logic. Logic will need a lot of work, especially impression, right? So in impression, as you can see here, we have so many things to do. But the most important thing for logic, either for impression or motivation, the strongest tool that logic have, it actually is drink. This drink up here, the drink that gonna double any of your active card. This is the strongest tool for impression and for motivation. You might want 2 or 3 of these drinks because all these three active cards are mandatory. Well, the last one is kind of whatever. This unlock as 79, but you don't need this. You don't need this. You can beat HIF with like using this drink with this card, which only unlock at 59. But to get benefit from this card, right, you need to have at least 2 trouble cards in either your deck or your hand, anywhere other than your exhaust pile. And in order to do that, you need this type of card, right, that have +1 card use and generate 1 trouble card. So you need to have this together. So you need to plan ahead. And before that, you just want to stack your impression as much as possible with these tools, right? This just a lot of stack increase. This gives you impression gain by 50% for 5 turns. This multiply your impression by 1.1 for 4 turns. So this is stacking tool that you need to use to get a lot of impression. I gonna say if you can reach like 300 stack on last turn, you pop a drink, you pop this when you have 2 table cards in your deck, you should have enough to beat Senna, right? It's gonna score like 6 or 700,000 alone. Of course, this is also nice to use anywhere. You don't need to copy this, but this with a customization gonna help you stacking impression too. And lastly, if you already level 79, you can also play with this. Just remember, this needs to be played when you are on the 5th turn to the last to get the full benefit, right? What this does is basically give you plus 200 enhance on your impression. And for the next 4 turns, when you gain impression from the card, gain parameter equal to 100% of your stack. Customization this is gonna increase to 130. Really strong, really strong. Of course, you want to copy this, it's gonna be plus 400 instead. Of course, enhance only count impression proc at the end of the turn, not from scaling from this effect on this card, but that's fine, right? But yeah, impression needs a lot of work. We need to stack a lot of impression and utilize those stack either with this card at 79 or 59 with this card with a drink. And contrary to impression, we're gonna have motivation. Really simple, right? Just stack your shield as much as possible and use confetti. Other than that, you just want to use a drink, this drink again, to either of these cards. And the best time to use either of these cards is the 5th turn to the last turn, so that you gain the full benefit. As this is fine later because it's proc every start of the turn. But for this card that unlock at 76, this need to be on the 5th turn to the last or earlier than that, not later, because it's only proc your scaling on the 4th turn after you use this. But if you do not unlock this yet, you can just drink with Daydream and it should be fine. Motivation is kinda get an easy one here. You just stack shield as much as possible. Get confetti with 2 draw and aim to have Daydream on the correct turn, and that's all you need. Compared to impression, right? This is impression plan. This is motivation plan. We just stack shield and chill. And that's all for logic. Next, lastly, anomaly. Unfortunately, normally, well, not pun intended, normally they are good, but they are not good enough to finish Honsen without high P level card. Of course, unless your idol are strong by itself, right? But if you use like general anomaly idol that doesn't have the strong kit, you need this card, especially for this archetype like switch archetype. You need this card. Unlock at 77, and of course a drink that increase your turn would be nice too. Other than that, you can try to use this rotation, right? You have a drink that increase card draw by 1, right? You use this card at the start from blue into red, get +1 card usage, and you use this one to turn back into blue. You use this to go into red again, and use the last action to remove the trouble card that this one generated and end your turn. And next turn you draw more card, and this have tag that change your buff to blue again, so it can repeat forever. This is 4 card loop, and if you have this, it's gonna be 5 card loop, right? These 3 plus trouble card plus this card is 5 card loop, and this is gonna increase instant of damage of any of these cards. Hopefully you're gonna aim for either this one, mostly this one. And that is for the switch, right? You want to enter this loop as fast as possible and pray that the loop gonna generate enough score to win in Honsen. There is other type of strategy, but I don't understand that strategy, so we're not gonna talk about that. The idea is you hold a lot of cards until like the last 2 or 3 turns and try to swap between red and blue as much as possible in one turn to generate a lot of score. I don't know if that is viable for every idol or only for specific idol. I don't know, but at least this one gonna work for anyone. But sadly you need 77 to get this, right? And lastly, anomaly with full power. Okay, this one is a little bit easier compared to switch, but you really need P power 80. I don't think without P power P level 80, I don't think full power can finish Honsen at all. I don't think it have enough to finish Honsen in terms of scoring, right? But of course we have these two to help buff your card. These 2 cards is the most crucial card. Early on you're gonna have play the card to remove them to enter the loop, and the loop for full power is really easy. You just spam these two, and hopefully you can stay in full power mode permanently on the last, right, 3 or 4 turn, and you just spam these 2 together every single turn, and hopefully, well, with this card surely you're gonna finish beat Honsen for sure. But without this one, I believe it's unlikely for full power to finish Honsen effortlessly. But if you are P level 80, full power is really easy. I would say I tried it once and damn, it's so easy. Alright, that is all for me today. That is all the thing I want to talk about in HIF. So I hope you have fun playing video game. Good luck with your gacha for this banner or the upcoming one, depend on what or who you want to pull. Have a good day, good night wherever you are, and see you again next time. For now, bye bye. Also, if you have questions about HIF, don't ask in the comment. You should join the Discord and ask people in there because I cannot help you. I'm still struggle to get 8-4, so I'm not that good of a gamer, and you might think. Alright, bye.